Welcome back to the latest episode of our Zoom into the Success podcast. The podcast where we sit down with sort of seasoned entrepreneurs or the everyday person, go over their struggles as well as some of their advice that you can take away and action into your business. So we have a very special guest on today. So if you want to introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Williams. I own a content creation agency called Be Seen Content, where we specialize in helping online businesses mainly targeted towards fitness increase their leads, obviously save time with their content and just make more money with the content that they're putting out. I've been sort of in the online business space for about 18 months. I was working a government level job before this in admin, doing spreadsheets, which was it was the bane of my life. And then before that, I used to deliver groceries in a Tesco van. So quite the contrast. But I'm excited to talk to Jack. I've known Jack for a couple of months, and I'm excited to be on this podcast. Jack, thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
thank you so much. And look, I think your journey will resonate with a lot of people, right? Because it sounds like you've
Mhm.
gone through sort of, part time and then into a full time job, which is what,
Mm.
the most people have. And, let's be honest, they're fairly low paying compared to an entrepreneurial
Mhm.
business that you start. The risk and
Mm.
reward is very different. They can be mundane. So it's always interesting to hear those perspectives. So obviously, I presume when you started the BT content agency, did that start as a side hustle alongside the government job, or did you just sort of you quit your job and go straight in?
I quit my job with just that month's paycheck. And well,
Wow.
we didn't start off with BC actually. We started off with a company called Alma Cinematics, which was a videography business targeted towards helping people, get traction on social media through video content. That failed miserably. And then I met Josh Dexter, who transformed it. He's with Limitless as well, who transformed it from Alma Cinematics to Be Seen, which was the content creation agency run today. But I literally quit my job. I decided like enough was enough. I was having that sort of feeling that there's more out there in this world. I don't want to be stuck doing this job for the rest of my life. And something just clicked in me where I was like, I've got to go full time in this. It was scary, obviously. The financial circumstances at the time weren't ideal, and then obviously when you're self-employed, you're in control of your finances. And I wasn't very good at sales at the time. I wasn't very good at getting myself out there. So I think I earned about £300 in 3 months, and I was quite broke. So that was quite fun. And I
That
actually
was
went
a
into
struggle.
debt
Yeah.
to get a business mentorship. But I mean, it was a struggle. But I look at it now and I'm like, that's quite funny actually because
Well, it's probably the best investment that you ever made, right? You took that leap, and now
100%.
you're very much a digital nomad, which we'll come on to in a little bit. I guess, you
Mm.
know, you took a huge step in terms of risking it all to go off and start your job. And
Mhm.
maybe there's people that are listening to this. Honestly, my advice would
Mm.
be to most people: don't just quit the job like you
Oh, do
have.
it. Do
Especially if
it.
you've got responsibilities, because like as much as
Yeah.
starting your own business gives you that freedom, and you've got to go out and get those sales, and there's a lot of stories where people don't go on to be as successful as you. But hopefully, if you're listening to this, you're going to get some successful points that you can take away. But yeah, so that's really exciting. So you went on to start a video creation agency, and I'm sure you have as well as so many other people do. But we are getting, if you're in the mentoring space or coaching space or side hustle or online business space or fitness creation space, you are getting bombarded all of the time by these video creation agencies. And I imagine some people that will
Mm.
watch this will be thinking it's an avenue that they want to go down. Maybe they've got the video editing skills. What is it that you're doing right now to stand out that obviously somebody else might be able to, come up with their
Yeah.
USP?
Yeah, of course. So, interesting point you touched on there with people being bombarded with video creation agencies, and I have that myself. I always get messages from like random accounts on
Yeah,
Instagram asking me if they want to do video editing. It's really popular. You can get someone off Fiverr to do that for a relatively cheap rate. But I think the most important thing that you've got to create if you're making an agency is you've got to be a team and you've got to be a human. You don't just want to be an editor looking for work. You want to actually help someone improve their own quality of life. And you've got to go out your own way and make sure that you're actually making them satisfied. Because, I mean, I'm sure you're the same. If you are having a service, you'd want to know that there's an actual team there and they're treating you as an actual person and a customer, not just a number on a spreadsheet or money in the bank. I think that's the best thing to be because you've got to be a people person in this day and age. There's not a lot of people who sort of get themselves clued up on human conversation. And I think it's very easy to get lost in the whole like just spam and cold outreach to try and get numbers. And I think you've got to be really personable. So I would say that
yeah.
that is probably the,
I,
the,
I,
the main thing that I'm doing differently.
Yeah, I think that's quite important actually because I've actually given some advice to some of the messages that I
Okay.
get from people, just naturally. Like I'll get a cold message, and I think actually if somebody does good outreach, as much as it's not going to reply to me because it's not a service that I'm actually looking for, but I'll be
Mhm.
like, actually, I read your message, and yeah, I mean, if I was in a position to want to, I probably would because your outreach wasn't just a spam and something else.
Yeah.
But like I've also gone back to people that have messaged me things, and I'm like, dude, this just isn't what I do. Like that's not you're not understanding what my business is. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's like the thing where you're talking about being personable, right? Is if you're going to do outreach, take a little bit of time, and instead of sending maybe 1,000 DMs a day, send 500 a day, and actually send 500
Yeah.
high quality ones specific to
Yeah.
that person's business, and it's going to obviously help you, develop
You
your
can
own.
tell as well. You
Yeah,
can tell.
yeah,
You can tell
100%.
when someone's copy and paste. The largest one that I see is like, oh, hey, I can edit some videos for you. Here's a link to my G Drive, for example. It's like you're trying to sell to me before I've even got to know you. Like,
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't buy off some random off the internet when they message me. I wouldn't invest in them at all. I feel like if someone's going to invest in you in order to help you improve their business, they're going to have to like you and know a bit more about your story and actually sort of see themselves in you. I have a really firm belief, actually, that if you're investing in someone, subconsciously you're seeing a part of yourself in them, and that's why you're investing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think buying through Instagram is obviously over the years. I can't remember. I think it used to be like 8 touch points or something, and now it's like 30 odd touch points or like,
32, yeah.
yeah, something like that. Where you have to have that amount of touch points before somebody's going to be in a position to buy from you. And I
Mhm.
think I actually don't think I've ever bought through Instagram without having spoken to somebody before. Like you have
Mm.
to have gotten to speak to them. You have to have a call. Like so, you spamming me your links to go and buy something on Google. Like I'm just not going to do it. Even if you're saying let me edit a video for free, why
Mm.
would I do that? At the end of the day, you're after my business, not the other way around in theory. And you need to obviously take somebody through that process of them seeing the value in your business. And if you're not doing that
Mhm.
in a personalized manner, you're just not going to get
Mhm.
the benefit from that. So obviously, you
Yeah.
started the video creation agency. That's obviously
Mhm.
started to blow up, and you've done quite well. And that's obviously given you the freedom of the life that you wanted. So you've become
Mhm.
somewhat of a digital nomad, right?
Yeah, sort of. That term is thrown around quite a lot. I mean, what does to you, what is a digital nomad? If you
Well,
have to define it.
so if we go off of what's on TikTok, it's all of these
TikTok.
bros that are living in Thailand, living in Bali, living in South America. They're basically working from a laptop and sort of having that freedom.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that, yeah, I have. I mean, I'm in Marbella, right? But I mean, we just spoke off air. I'm going to Thailand. I think digital nomad is, this is something I'm really big on as well. It's freedom. So if you're a digital nomad, you've got a choice of sort of where you want to work, how you want to work, your time, sort of your energy. And I think that is what the big trend is now. I think a lot of people are realizing slowly that the culture of like 9 to 5 pension, mortgage, that is like slowly dying down. And a lot of people are tapping into the sort of internet money. You know, you probably see it yourself with Mentomy. You know, you're getting a lot of people now who are into sort of drop shipping, maybe Amazon FBA, maybe some agency sort of work, SMMA, running ads. And there's a lot of people who are drifting into the camp of wanting to be free. And I think it is the digital nomad lifestyle as a whole that's really trendy and really attractive, because why wouldn't you want to wake up in Thailand and maybe Koh Samui and work from your laptop and then go to the gym and then come home and go for food? Like it's a lifestyle.
The
And a
quality
lot
of
of people
life.
are yeah, they're working to live instead of living to work now. I think that's the biggest switch that's happening.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like it's statistically backed up, right? I mean, in 2023, there was 45% of people in the UK that had a side hustle.
Okay.
A lot of that was
Damn.
yeah, yeah. So there was a research done by Finder UK. Obviously, it's a
Hmm.
sample size. It's not obviously going to be the whole UK, but they found that 45% of
Okay.
people in that population of sample, and I don't know what the sample size was, had a side hustle. Obviously, most of that was, I think they said the most popular one was selling clothes online, so probably
Hmm.
Vinted. But the average income for somebody was about a grand a grand a month,
Okay.
which for most people, that's enough to
Okay.
realize that you can take that away off and go and start a business. And obviously, I mean, become digital nomad, you probably want a
Yeah,
little
of
bit more than that. But I see it, and
course.
there is trends that are pointing to everyone coming out of that. Whether that was driven by COVID and people being off of work, being paid to be off at work, having
Mm.
that freedom as well, somewhat of a freedom despite the lockdowns. But you had the freedom to spend the time with your family, or
Yeah.
go. You can travel, but like, what I mean, like people didn't have to be at work, and then they got to do things that they want. They were being paid to live what they want to do, which is what
Mm.
I think digital nomad is pushing people towards. Is that they can
Yeah.
see all this stuff. They see everyone on TikTok earning money. That
Yeah, that's
that
the
they
attractive thing as well. It's for me the most attractive thing about being a digital nomad is the sort of anytime, any place sort of thing where you can essentially work from your laptop and do any task at any time in any place. You don't have to be tied down to a certain location. And this is the biggest shift that happened with me with the video creation agency that I had. So with the video creation agency, obviously, if I'm filming someone, I have to be there. I have to film it and X, Y, Z. And that was essentially trading time for money because I had to be like on site
yeah, of
for a
course.
certain amount of time. Whereas a digital nomad business, like say creation, content creation, that's value for money. And you can do that from anywhere. And it's like having a job, right? If you're doing something that requires you to be on site. So I think the avenue of digital nomad is really the most it's probably the most sought after sort of occupation that you can have. And I think that you've got to be careful though, because if you're looking at it from TikTok, I think the possibilities of it on TikTok are so blown out of proportion. I mean, I could be wrong, but not everyone's going to be a multi-millionaire making like 5 mil from Amazon FBA in like two
Yeah, you,
weeks.
you you're not wrong. Most people fail. Like I speak
Do
to a
they get
lot of people.
scammed a lot?
Yeah, so a lot of people end up buying. Some people are outright
Courses.
scam. Some people are outright scammed, and people take their money and then don't deliver. Some people missell them things and don't deliver on what they
Mhm.
said they were going to deliver, and some of them just are overwhelmingly under deliver. So people go through all of this, and then also maybe somebody delivers great mentorship, but then the person wasn't really right, so they take that away, don't apply it properly. So there was a bunch of things there that means that not everyone's going to make money because I mean everyone is different. For every millionaire, there's probably I don't know hundreds or thousands of people that failed to become millionaires. And
Mm.
that's sometimes driven down to market opportunity, luck, but often sometimes it can be consistency as well. And I think that's usually what stands out within entrepreneurs. It's that consistency to persevere and crack on because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the money's not going to come in by itself. You have to get
Yeah.
up and work, and sometimes there are hard days, like as you said, like £300 in 3 months. We had that with Mentor Me quite early on as well. Where you're
Yeah.
not making any money, but you're still having to spend the money to do it, right? So you're not ever
Yeah.
seeing a return early on.
I've been through that myself recently as well. I had like a bit of a dry spell with sort of sales and it makes you question yourself. You're like, oh, is this for me? Am I doing it right? And
Yeah,
things like that. But what you've got to realize is that, and this is something I've come to realize, is that you get all these good times and you get like the wins, like hitting record sales months, closing like 6 deals in a day and making like a couple of grand in a day. But then you've also got the flip side of that where you don't make money, no one cares about you, no one's coming to save you, and you've got to pull yourself out of the fire that you put yourself in, and you've got to sort of put yourself out, dust yourself off, and go again. And people see the digital nomad lifestyle on TikTok, like we said about like making 7 figures with like Amazon FBA, drop shipping, that people driving the G Wagons with the bricks of cash, throwing it at the Burj Al Arab.
yeah.
But they don't see the tough times of looking at your Stripe account or your bank account where you're thinking, shit, I need to make some
Overdraw and you've got no
sales.
money. Yeah, you've got subscriptions coming
And
out that bouncing. Like I think on that point, it's interesting because obviously saying that you've experienced that as well. What would you be the thing
mm,
that's what would you say was the number one thing that sort of kept you going to say, actually, look, I've gone 2 months without sales, let's say. What is the
mhm.
reason you're going to carry on driving? Because it's not just purely financially driven, right? Because if it's just financially
Mm.
driven, you go back and work at Tesco, wouldn't you? I mean, like if it was purely a financial
Yeah.
thing, right? You would sort of go off and go and get a job, right? It's
Yeah.
never just money.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like I said, largely about freedom. And I always have a belief in myself that whatever I put my mind to and whatever I work hard at, I can do. And if I ever have a bad time, which I recently just did, I mean, recently went through a really dry period of
Yeah,
sales after my best period of sales. So you can imagine the contrast between the two is
yeah,
quite tough to take. But I always look at it as you're just drawing tension on an arrow. If you have an arrow, you're pulling back the bow. And sometimes, you go through a long period of time where you're really just drawing back the bow for about 2 weeks. And then the next thing you know, you have like a really good time. And I always just think of, if bad times are happening now, the only times that are going to come forward are the good times, because nothing that's bad lasts forever, which is a beautiful thing about life. But then on the flip side, nothing that's good lasts forever. You've got to have the good times, the bad times, sorry, to even have the good times. And if you're going to give up in the bad times, you don't deserve the good times, I think, personally.
Yeah, and I think like obviously you mentioned freedom. Like it really comes down to having that goal and actually like fully not writing, but like visualizing what that goal looks like. If you don't have that truly defined, like obviously your life is around freedom. I know what my personal goals are. It's not purely financially driven, right? It's about having, the ability to not worry. It's these things that you don't get with a sort of a standard 9 to 5. And if you have a crystal clear vision on that, like it
Mm.
becomes so much easier to stay consistent because, like, admittedly, I've had the same thing, right, where it's gone weeks without a sale, and you're like,
Yeah, it's bad.
why am I doing this? Like, why am I
Mm.
doing it? Like,
You're kicking rocks.
yeah, because obviously somebody's not going to turn up one day and just say, look, here you go, here's thousands of pounds. You have to go out
Yeah.
and get them to want to do that and show them the value, right? So it takes that time.
But
So
it's
so
even sweeter then when that happens.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's part of the journey, right? I mean, that's the
Mm.
journey. You learn through those points, and then you can realize and say, well, I had a dry spell. Then what did I do not do in that dry spell that I'm doing well now to get those sales? Can I replicate it? Is the way that you got to do, especially early on, right? To just keep repeating what is working to get you sales until you can then
Yeah.
start testing other things.
And failure is feedback at the end of the day.
Yeah,
If you're not
100%.
failing, you're not getting any feedback and you're not knowing how to improve. So I obviously had a bad spell and I was like, right, I need to obviously improve on this, on that, on that. And it gives you that time, that sort of viewpoint to adjust going forward.
And I think that's where a mentor comes in that's extremely valuable, right? So obviously you've been working with a
Mhm.
mentor now for a while. What's been your experience with working with a mentor? Would you sort of suggest people work with mentors? Does it help you sort of accelerate your business?
Life changing. Honestly, life changing. I think having a business mentor, I mean, you know this more than me, but a lot of people look at business mentorships as scams, essentially. If you see online business mentors on Instagram and stuff like that, a lot of people are very skeptical about a mentor,
Yeah.
and which is fair enough. But I think the best thing to do is do your due diligence and actually look into them, invest. Are they somewhat in a position that you want to be in? Have they achieved what you want to achieve? And if they have, then obviously have a conversation with them. But in terms of me personally, my mentor is obviously Josh Dexter, and I'll be brutally honest, he has been life changing for me. The perspective that he's given me on life, the outlook he's given me on life, the help he's given me on business, the training he's given me, everything, it's been really, really valuable. And another thing as well that people often forget with business mentorships is that you're essentially handing over not control of your business, but you're giving up a portion of your business to let them sort of plan it out and whatnot. And they're also obviously a third party, so they're unbiased and they're not, emotional, because you're also focused on your business and you're in the business all the time. It is kind of hard to take a bird's eye view of it and become unemotional and sort of detached. Whereas having a business mentor allows them to play that role and also give you the support and everything that you need when you're so heavily invested. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know if you've got a mentor or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure there's been times where you've been
Yeah,
emotional.
I've worked with mentors and stuff, right? I mean, I think there's plenty of points that go with it, and obviously, of course, you're emotional at the end of the day because it's
Yep.
your business that you're building. It's what's going to drive your goal for the future, but it's also that's how you eat, right? I mean, if your business isn't
Yeah.
doing well, like that
Yeah.
maybe that's probably the main reason we're all emotional when our business isn't doing well because we actually need the money
Mm.
initially. Like if you're
Yeah.
starting off, you need the money, right? So, and I do think obviously I'm slightly biased because I think most people should go towards mentors for
I agree.
a number of different reasons.
I agree
Obviously, if
with
you can
you.
get a mentor to do it on the side of their job and then they're quite happy to not charge you, definitely do that and explore it. But
Mm.
having somebody in your corner that, yeah, as you said, can look at it from an unbiased perspective and look at it objectively based on their experience, whether they've worked with similar businesses or mentored similar individuals, right? There's so many different things that they can come at that you just won't even think. And I actually sometimes think, or I often think, that there is value in somebody telling you the absolute basics because
Mm.
what I see a lot of the time is people will pay for a mentorship or pay for an hour's call with somebody from what I've heard, and they'll go, well. they told me to do this, this, and this, and they're just like, well, that's not really what I wanted. I wanted some cheat code, and well, I mean, if you're not doing the basics, how can you sort of level up, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you need to do
Yeah.
the if you're not doing the bare minimum to scale your business and lay those blocks, a mentor's not going to help you. I mean,
I agree.
I'll be honest, mentors aren't for everyone, and a lot of the calls that I have, I will tell people, look, I don't think we can help you purely because, if somebody
You're
comes
not doing
through
it.
our yeah, I mean, if somebody comes through our business and we just try to push them into a sale, what's the and it goes horribly wrong. It's poor value for them and it's poor value for us because it leads
Yeah.
to negative reviews and things, right? I think the most important
Yeah.
thing is being primed and ready, to actually take on that feedback from mentors because it is a complete shortcut, right?
I agree, yeah. And I was guilty of that before I went into my business mentorship. Me and my business partner, we were like, oh, we've got a mentor now, we're basically rich now. Like we weren't, we were really poor, but we were really guilty of thinking like we're just in the mentorship now, we've made it. Whereas you don't realize that you actually have to work really
Becomes
fucking
harder.
hard.
It becomes harder once you got a mentor because they're telling you and they're keeping you accountable, right? The whole point is that
Exactly.
you've got somebody there that's telling you to do the things that you're not currently doing to some
Yeah.
degree, is just strategizing the future. But like
Yeah.
they can say, look, you're not doing this. Hurry up and go on.
Yeah.
2 weeks
I
time.
think a general rule of thumb as well is that if you want to get anywhere in life and have sort of any sort of success, I'm not successful. I'm not going to try and tell people how to be successful, but I think that if you look at history and you look at other successful people, they've always invested in other people to help them level up. I mean, business mentors have business mentors. Some of the best athletes have coaches. Like everyone has someone in their life who they pay or they exchange value with to give them a better life. And I think it's just how things are. I think that the people who are arrogant and sort of really not willing to give control up to other people, I think that's a very good way to guarantee that you're not going to grow because that automatically creates a very closed off mindset. And I think if you want to grow or become a digital nomad or have any sort of freedom, you need to open your mind to different perspectives and different ideas. I didn't even know business mentors existed a year ago.
Yeah,
Being
and
completely honest.
yeah, I think I couldn't agree more with you, to be honest. Like you have to open yourself up. You have to become somewhat vulnerable to accept the fact that you're not doing everything correctly, whether you're starting from complete scratch and somebody's going to teach you A to Z, or you've got somebody coming in from the outside to support you in your business, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you need to open yourself up and accept the fact that, look, you need the support. Otherwise, in some cases, your business is just going to die if you're going to
I
be
agree.
arrogant and turn away from that feedback. Because how does it then look on your customers when they're giving you reviews and leaving you feedback and you're not actioning it, right? I mean, the whole point is it's a feedback loop that you're going to get from the mentors. So, look,
Yeah,
that's I think that's some really fantastic advice for people to take away around mentorship. So the last sort of question I'll ask you, obviously you're not at the end of your journey yet. You're still building that. But if you were to
only 22.
lose, so I mean, if you were to lose your business today, your freedom today, and all these different types of things, but you still have the knowledge of the business that you've already built, what would be sort of your first steps to getting back to the digital nomad life that you've currently got?
Sales, I would get involved in a sales role. I had a call with a gentleman ages ago and he told me to get in sales. And I was thinking, oh, no, I don't, I was being the
Yeah,
person I talked about and I was like, I don't need that. But honestly, I would get back into sales. I would go like a complete sort of monk mode and just focus on sales and acquiring cash because, I mean, we all know that money
money is
allows you to
what
have
drives it. Yeah.
freedom. So I would probably get into sales. I would build my sales skills up even sharper than they are now. And I would probably try and look for some sort of remote closing offer, try and work for someone else. And I would probably just do sales, to be honest with you, because that is probably one of the easiest routes to go to get sort of the route to freedom
Yeah,
because everything else is like skill based. I know sales is skills, but like video editing or social media ads, that's a really specialist skill.
technical skills rather than soft skills, right? I mean, a lot of
Exactly.
us can naturally be salesy and develop that. And I think the interesting thing there as well is that it's a service thing that you don't have to have money for. It's I think sales is often. I actually had a call with somebody called James Ski the other week on this.
Okay.
Sales, he's like a sales coach, runs a sales membership community, and I
Mm.
mean, we were talking about it, but everyone often thinks sales is extremely sleazy.
It's not.
If you're providing value in what you're selling, there is no sleaze. You're providing the value. You're just, painting the picture of what can happen to people.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you're selling crap, of course it's extremely sleazy, and
Yeah.
that's what people think of. I think it's got a really bad
Yeah.
reputation.
Yeah, it's because everyone looks at sales as the door-to-door salesman trying to sell you PVC windows.
Yeah,
Like sales is just exchanging value for change. Like
yeah,
that's all it is. And if you're, like you said, if you're like genuinely providing value to someone else's life, that's not sleazy. It's just part of life. I mean, you
yeah,
don't complain when you buy a car. You're not, oh,
yeah.
that's not sleazy. And sales is it's everywhere in life. I mean, this conversation is sales. I'm not trying to persuade people to listen to me directly, but someone is going to decide whether they want even like who I am, judging off my personality. They're
Give
going
you
to
a
judge
follow
you.
on Instagram and things like
Yeah,
this, right? I mean, like, yeah, sales is arguably the biggest skill that you need in entrepreneurship. Alongside, obviously, I mean, consistency probably isn't a skill; it's more of a sort of a trait
attitude.
and attitude. But I mean, sales is definitely up there as the most important because, unfortunately, money does make the world go round. I mean,
Of course,
so
you'd be arrogant to not admit that, I
yeah,
think.
exactly. I think, and there's some really great stories, and I'm sort of going off on a tangent here, but like, when
You've got,
influencers go to bakeries and say, "Give me 100 cupcakes for free, and I'll give you a shout out," well, that doesn't pay for them to make it. That doesn't pay for the electricity, right? Money makes it go round, and I think, learning sales is definitely the first step on the route to that.
yeah, and it's a universal skill. It can be applied to any industry.
Yeah,
It can be applied to any position, and it's not only it doesn't always help you in business as well, but it also helps you in life. Have you read the book To Sell Is Human by is
I
it Daniel
haven't.
H. Pink?
I haven't. I'll
Really
take a
good
look.
book. Really good book. It literally makes you realize that selling is everywhere. If you're asking your boss for a promotion, selling.
Yeah,
If
of
you're
course.
asking a girl out on a date, selling. Everything is sales.
Yeah,
It's just
networking, introducing yourself every single day. It's sales.
exactly.
It's definitely the most important thing. So, look, thank you so much for coming on. There was some extremely valuable points, hopefully that everyone listening can take away from it, and definitely go and listen to that book that you recommended. Anything on sales and consuming more information that you can is definitely worth it. So, Matt, thank you so much for coming on to Zoom into
Thank you.
Success.
Thank you for
And
having me.
if you're still listening, hopefully this can take you on and hope for you to zoom into success.